Welcome to the channel, and today we dive into one of the most shocking and unbelievable moments in recent NFL history, a moment that has rocked Dallas, stunned analysts, and sent shockwaves through every corner of the football world. The Dallas Cowboys, America's team, have just pulled off a move that nobody expected, a move that seemed impossible even in the wildest offseason rumors. The Cowboys have officially traded their star quarterback Shedeur Sanders in a jaw-dropping three-team blockbuster deal valued at over $300 million when you factor in contract transfers, bonuses, draft capital valuation, and cash considerations. It is the kind of move that rewrites a franchise, flips the league upside down, and leaves every fan scrambling to understand what just happened, why it happened, and what it means for the future of the Cowboys offense, the locker room, and the NFL landscape as a whole. It is a moment you will remember exactly where you were when you heard it, the kind of seismic news that breaks through every platform, every debate show, every fan podcast, and becomes the headline of the season before the season even begins. The early reports coming out of Dallas describe a front office working in silence for weeks, navigating intense negotiations behind closed doors with multiple teams, agents, and league officials. According to sources, this was not a deal that materialized overnight but instead a move that slowly built momentum as various teams gauged the Cowboys' interest in making a historic transaction involving one of the most talked about young quarterbacks in the league. Shedeur Sanders had become a symbol of hope for Cowboys fans, someone who represented a new era, a new identity, and potentially a new dynasty if everything clicked into place the way fans imagined. His arrival had generated massive excitement across the fanbase, especially after glimpses of his growing chemistry with the receiving corps during camps and off-season workouts. But somewhere in the front office, the Cowboys leadership apparently saw something bigger on the horizon, something they believed could reshape the team's long-term direction. Whether that vision will pay off is now the central question gripping every analyst and every fan. As the details trickle out, insiders are describing the deal as one of the most complex, layered trades ever executed in Cowboys history. The structure reportedly involves the Cowboys receiving a combination of high-end draft picks, multiple established offensive starters, and a massive financial buffer spread over several years. Some analysts already speculate that Dallas may be setting up for a complete system overhaul, potentially eyeing an incoming veteran quarterback or preparing a package to move up for another young star in the upcoming draft. Others think the front office simply saw an extraordinary opportunity to add long-term assets that would reshape the roster foundation for the next decade. But regardless of the internal reasoning, the external reaction has been explosive. Social media erupted instantly, Cowboys fans divided between disbelief, rage, cautious optimism, and everything in between. The comment sections lit up with theories, conspiracy talk, and fan predictions about how this move fits into the team's broader vision for the future. Behind the scenes, however, there is reportedly a more emotional layer to this story. Shedeur Sanders had built a strong bond with several of his teammates, and many players were blindsided by the news. Several Cowboys insiders say the locker room was stunned when the announcement dropped, with some players learning through alerts on their phones at the same time the public did. Moments like these remind fans that football, for all its strategy and business, is still deeply human. Friendships, chemistry, trust, and shared expectations can be disrupted in an instant when the business side of the sport asserts itself. There are reports that Shedeur himself remained professional but visibly disappointed when informed of the finalized trade. He had expressed strong enthusiasm about building something special in Dallas, and many believed he would become the face of the franchise for years to come. Now he finds himself suddenly rerouted into a completely new chapter of his career before ever fully settling into the old one. Meanwhile, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones is already making waves with his public comments, framing the move as necessary, calculated, and ultimately aimed at delivering what he has always chased, a Super Bowl title. According to early statements, Jones praised Shedeur Sanders as an exceptional talent and competitor but emphasized that the opportunity presented in this trade was too substantial to ignore. He hinted that the restructuring of the roster is part of a bigger offensive vision that will soon become clear, which has left fans speculating wildly about who the Cowboys are targeting next. Some believe a blockbuster follow-up move is already in motion. Others think the team is shifting towards a more balanced, run-heavy system, using the new assets to reinforce the offensive line and backfield. Whatever the case may be, the Cowboys' next steps will be under a microscope like never before. On shows across the sports world, analysts are already debating whether the Cowboys made a mistake letting go of a potential superstar, or whether the front office just pulled off one of the smartest long strategy moves in franchise history. The conversation is heated, passionate, and unlike anything we've seen since the Cowboys' last era-defining trade decades ago. Some analysts argue that Shedeur's unbelievable market value created an opening the Cowboys simply could not pass up, especially if they believe they can plug another quarterback into an upgraded offensive system and still compete at the highest level. Others say Dallas is gambling away a once-in-a-generation opportunity at long-term stability and leadership under center, something fans have been craving since the peak years of past legends. And because this is the Cowboys, because every move amplifies by 10, the noise is only getting louder as more details emerge. But what makes this moment even more dramatic is the timing. With training camps looming, preseason preparations forming, and roster decisions stacking up, the Cowboys now enter a crucial period with one of the biggest unanswered questions in modern NFL history: who will be the next starting quarterback? Inside the war room, the speculation is that the Cowboys may already have a target lined up, possibly a veteran with championship experience, or a high-ceiling rookie they believe they can groom quickly. The front office has reportedly been evaluating multiple quarterbacks quietly for weeks, which suggests this trade was not an impulse reaction but part of a broader plan already in motion. And while the answers are coming, the suspense is almost electric. Every insider update, every reporter tweet, every whisper inside the building is now shaping the narrative of what could be the most thrilling off-season saga the Cowboys have staged in years. Now, when we talk about fan reactions, this is where the full emotional force of the news really hits. Cowboys Nation is one of the most passionate, invested, vocal fanbases in all of sports, and this move lit the fanbase hotline on fire. Some fans are furious, calling the trade reckless, short-sighted, or disrespectful to the young quarterback they had already embraced as their own. Others are cautiously optimistic, acknowledging that the Cowboys have pulled off massive rebuilds before and might be positioning themselves to assemble a powerhouse roster across multiple positions rather than relying solely on one young quarterback. And then there are fans who are just stunned, needing time to process the reality that the player they thought would define the next decade in Dallas is now gone before that era even began. The divide is real, and the debate will not settle anytime soon. As more information circulates, the financial element of the move becomes clearer. The $300 million valuation attached to the trade includes not just the shifting salary commitments, but also the analytical value of the draft picks the Cowboys are receiving, the cost projections of the players involved, the cash adjustments traded between teams, and the cap impacts stretching across multiple seasons. This is not just a football trade, this is a massive financial maneuver that will reshape the Cowboys' salary flexibility, roster strategy, and long-term competitive window. If the Cowboys convert these assets into elite talent across multiple positions, this could be remembered as the turning point that built the next Cowboys dynasty. But if they fail to make the right follow-up moves, the critics will point back to this trade as the moment everything fell apart. In the midst of all this chaos, Shedeur Sanders now steps into a new chapter with enormous expectations, a huge spotlight, and the weight of proving that he is worth every dollar and every asset moved in this colossal trade. His next team will likely build around him immediately, giving him the keys to the offense and the chance to display the full extent of his talent on the biggest stage possible. Whether he becomes the superstar many expect or faces a tougher road ahead, one thing is certain: his NFL journey just became one of the most compelling stories to follow this season. And as for the Cowboys, the story is far from over. In fact, it is just beginning. The next moves will determine whether this shocking decision becomes a masterstroke or a nightmare. The entire football world now waits to see what Dallas does next, and every step they take will be viewed through the lens of this stunning, landscape-shifting trade that has already become one of the most talked about moments of the year. So buckle up, because this saga is not slowing down anytime soon, and the future of the Cowboys just became one of the most unpredictable and fascinating journeys in the NFL. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more explosive NFL updates, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss what's coming next.